You know what's wild? How people underestimate what they can do in just 1 year, yet overestimate what they can achieve in a day. Everyone wants a big transformation, a new chapter, a whole new life, but they keep waiting for some perfect moment to start. Let me tell you something. There is no perfect moment. The difference between those who rise and those who stay the same isn't luck. It's daily choices, small consistent shifts that compound into massive change. You don't need to flip your life upside down overnight. You just need to start turning the right dials, one at a time. Because by 2026, those small changes you make today will either build your strength or your regret. And the truth is, big results don't come from big gestures. They come from quiet, disciplined decisions that no one applauds, but everyone notices later. So if you're ready to stop waiting for change and start creating it, let's talk about 8 small changes that can completely redefine who you are by 2026. We live in a world obsessed with motivation. Everyone wants to feel inspired before they move, before they act, before they commit. But the truth is, motivation is unreliable. It's emotional. It fades when life gets uncomfortable or when the excitement wears off. Discipline, on the other hand, doesn't care how you feel. Discipline shows up when you're tired, when no one's watching, when you'd rather quit. It's the quiet force that pushes you to keep going when every excuse tells you to stop. You can't build your future on motivation, you build it on discipline, because discipline creates consistency, and consistency creates transformation. Think about it. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you are rewiring your identity. You're teaching yourself that your word means something. When you say you'll wake up early, and you do, your brain learns to trust you. When you say you'll go to the gym, and you go, even when it rains or you're exhausted, you build credibility with yourself. That's power. Discipline doesn't just change your habits, it changes who you believe you are. And when your self-image changes, your entire life follows. People often ask, how do I stay motivated? The answer is simple. You don't. You stay disciplined. Motivation is a spark, but discipline is the engine. It keeps you moving when the spark burns out. Motivation says, I feel like doing it. Discipline says, I'll do it anyway. The most successful people you admire, athletes, leaders, creators, they don't rely on feelings. They rely on systems, habits, and standards. They've trained their minds to follow through no matter what mood they wake up in. Discipline also builds freedom. It might sound ironic, but it's true. When you're disciplined with your health, you have the freedom to move, to live, to enjoy life without limits. When you're disciplined with your finances, you gain the freedom to choose how you live. When you're disciplined with your time, you reclaim your peace. Freedom isn't the absence of structure, it's the reward of it. Most people want results without rules, comfort without challenge, and that's why they stay stuck. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be consistent. Small acts of discipline done daily beat massive efforts done occasionally. It's not about doing everything right, it's about doing the right things often enough that they become part of who you are. Every decision is a vote for the person you're becoming. You either vote for your future or for your excuses. So, stop chasing motivation and start practicing discipline. Because by 2026, you won't remember how many times you felt inspired. You'll remember the days you showed up when you didn't want to. That's the difference between people who talk about change and those who live it. Discipline doesn't just change your routine. It changes your destiny. The first hour of your day decides the tone for everything that follows. Most people wake up reacting, checking their phones, scrolling through notifications, jumping straight into the noise of the world before they've even grounded themselves. And that's where the chaos begins. You can't expect focus when you start your morning with distraction. You can't expect peace when you begin your day with stress. The truth is, if you don't take control of your first hour, the world will control it for you. And when that happens, you start every day on defense instead of offense. Winning the first hour isn't about routines that look good on paper. It's about claiming authority over your mindset before the world starts pulling you in every direction. When you wake up, your mind is clear, unshaped, unbothered, and open. That's your most powerful state. How you spend those first 60 minutes is how you set your mental temperature for the rest of the day. If you start your morning in calm, you move through your day with strength. If you start it in chaos, you carry that tension with you. The best performers, the most disciplined individuals, they all know this truth. Mornings are sacred. You don't just wake up to your alarm, you wake up to your purpose. It's your private time to remind yourself who you are, what you stand for, and what you're building. Winning your morning doesn't have to mean waking up at 4 a.m. or running marathons before sunrise. It's not about copying someone else's discipline. It's about designing your own. Maybe for you, it's 10 minutes of silence before the noise begins, writing your goals, stretching your body, or simply drinking water before coffee. It's small, but it's intentional. Because when you begin with intention, you teach your brain to lead instead of react. That's how you step into your day from a place of strength instead of survival. And let's be honest, the way most people start their day drains them before they even begin. They wake up late, rush through everything, skip breakfast, get angry in traffic, and then wonder why they feel off balance. That's not life, that's autopilot. Winning the first hour is about slowing down to speed up. It's about starting from clarity so your energy doesn't scatter through meaningless distractions. When you give yourself that first hour, you're not being selfish. You're being strategic. You're protecting your mental and emotional state before you give your energy to anyone else. So, when you open your eyes tomorrow, don't reach for your phone. Reach for your thoughts. Set your intention. Move your body. Speak gratitude. Remind yourself that this hour belongs to you, because once you win it, the rest of the day starts working in your favor. By 2026, the people who own their mornings will own their results. The ones who start strong will finish stronger. You don't have to control everything in your day, just the first hour. Win that, and you'll watch the rest fall into place. Your mind is the most powerful tool you will ever own, but most people treat it carelessly. They feed it junk, gossip, negativity, distractions, constant noise, and then wonder why they feel anxious, unfocused, or unmotivated. Just like your body can't perform on fast food, your mind can't perform on mental garbage. You can't expect clarity when you constantly consume chaos. If you want sharper thinking, stronger confidence, and unshakable inner peace, you have to feed your mind with intention. Every thought you allow in is fuel, and not all fuel burns clean. Think about athletes. They don't eat whatever's convenient. They follow a plan. They know that what goes into their bodies directly affects their performance. They prepare their meals with purpose because they're chasing results, not comfort. Your mind deserves the same discipline. Every podcast you listen to, every conversation you engage in, every video you scroll through, it's all mental nutrition. You're either feeding strength or feeding weakness. You can't build mental resilience while consuming things that drain your energy and lower your standards. The content you consume shapes the way you think, and the way you think shapes the way you live. Most people don't realize that the biggest threat to their mindset isn't failure, it's distraction. Every useless argument online, every negative person you give attention to, every toxic story you replay in your head steals your mental calories. You end up mentally exhausted, but spiritually undernourished. That's why you have to audit your mental diet. Ask yourself, what am I feeding my thoughts today? Am I learning something that moves me forward or just entertaining myself to stay numb? Growth doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you become intentional with what you allow in. Start small. Replace 10 minutes of scrolling with 10 minutes of reading something that expands you. Watch less noise and listen to people who challenge your thinking instead of comforting your ego. Choose conversations that lift your spirit rather than drain it. Protect your input like you protect your health, because whatever you feed your mind daily becomes the environment you live in internally. If you keep feeding your brain negativity, you'll start seeing the world through a negative lens. But if you feed it discipline, truth, and inspiration, you start walking differently, more focused, more grounded, more confident. Feeding your mind the right fuel isn't about pretending life is perfect. It's about equipping yourself to handle it better. It's about building a mindset strong enough to stay calm when others panic, focused when others get distracted, and hopeful when others give up. Every single day, you're either strengthening your mental muscle or weakening it by what you choose to consume. So feed it like an athlete, with purpose, with discipline, and with vision. Because by 2026, your outer world will always reflect the quality of what you've been feeding your inner one. The people around you are shaping you every single day, whether you realize it or not. You absorb their energy, their habits, their standards, and even their fears. That's why it's so important to audit your circle. Because no matter how disciplined or motivated you are, if you keep surrounding yourself with people who drain you, doubt you, or distract you, you will eventually lose your edge. Growth is contagious, but so is complacency. If everyone in your circle makes you feel comfortable, you're not evolving. You're slowly shrinking. We often hold on to people out of loyalty, not alignment. We say things like, "I've known them forever," or "they're family," as if time alone is a good enough reason to stay connected. But the truth is, not everyone who started with you is meant to grow with you. Some people loved you when you were quiet, small, or uncertain, but they can't handle the version of you that's confident and sure. And that's okay. You're not meant to carry everyone with you to your next level. The moment you start changing, you'll notice who gets uncomfortable. They'll call you distant, arrogant, or different. But that's not arrogance, that's elevation. You're simply outgrowing environments that no longer feed your progress. Audit your circle and ask yourself, who around me challenges me to think bigger? Who calls me out when I'm slacking? Who pushes me to keep going when I want to stop? The people who love you the most aren't the ones who agree with you all the time. They're the ones who hold you accountable. They're not afraid to tell you the truth, even when it stings, because they see your potential and refuse to let you settle for less. Those are the people you keep close. Those are the ones who will push you to levels you never thought you could reach. You don't need a crowd, you need a core. A small group of people who inspire you, who challenge you, who remind you that you're capable of more. The rest, the negative, the jealous, the ones who constantly complain, they're background noise. Protect your space from them. You can love people from a distance without giving them access to your energy. You don't owe anyone your peace, your focus, or your future. Be kind, but be selective, because your environment will always win. You can have the strongest mindset in the world, but if your surroundings are toxic, you'll eventually absorb that energy. So by 2026, make it a rule to only sit at tables where there's growth in the conversation. Build connections that sharpen your mind, not ones that make you doubt your worth. Stop shrinking to fit into places that no longer feel right. Because when you audit your circle, you're not being harsh, you're being wise. You're choosing alignment over attachment, and that one decision can change the entire trajectory of your life. Most people want the big win, the breakthrough, the transformation, the moment that changes everything. But what they don't realize is that the big moments are always built on 1,000 small ones that no one sees. The difference between the people who achieve their goals and the ones who only dream about them is that the achievers understand the power of micro goals. They don't chase overnight success, they chase daily progress. Because success doesn't happen all at once, it compounds. Each small action, each small decision stacks quietly until one day, the results are too big to ignore. Setting micro goals means breaking your big vision into pieces small enough to execute but powerful enough to matter. You don't climb a mountain by jumping to the top. You climb it step by step, one foothold at a time. Micro goals give you focus. They stop you from getting overwhelmed by the distance between where you are and where you want to be. Instead of staring at how far you have to go, you start measuring progress in inches, not miles. And that small shift in perspective keeps you consistent. Because progress, even when it's slow, still feels like momentum. The truth is, most people quit not because they can't reach their dreams, but because they can't see enough progress fast enough. They look at their vision and think it's impossible. But if they just focused on the next small target, one more page read, one more workout, one more honest conversation, they'd realize how much closer they're getting each day. Micro goals create proof. Every small win tells your brain, I can do this. That belief grows, and with it, your actions expand. Before you know it, you've built discipline, resilience, and momentum, all from starting small. Having a macro vision is just as important. It's your compass. It's what reminds you why you're doing the hard things when the process gets boring or frustrating. Micro goals without a bigger vision can turn into meaningless tasks. But when you tie every small step to a greater purpose, it becomes powerful. You start seeing how every piece connects. Every habit, every decision, every choice, it all contributes to something much bigger than today. That combination of micro focus and macro vision is what separates dreamers from doers. So stop trying to sprint your way to success. Walk with purpose, move with direction, break your vision into pieces and commit to them. Maybe it's just waking up 30 minutes earlier, drinking more water, reading 10 pages, or spending 10 minutes reflecting instead of scrolling. These things might seem small, but they're not insignificant. They're investments, small deposits that compound into major returns over time. By 2026, those small daily actions will either build your future or your frustration. The choice is yours. Micro goals are not about moving fast. They're about moving forward every single day with intention, precision, and belief that small steps create big change. Mastering your emotions is one of the hardest and most powerful skills you will ever develop, because no matter how intelligent, talented, or disciplined you are, if you can't control your emotions will control you. And when that happens, you make decisions that don't serve you. You say things you regret, you lose focus, you burn bridges, and you waste energy on battles that never should have started. Real power isn't loud. It's calm. It's the ability to stay grounded while everything around you tries to pull you into chaos. When you learn to master your emotional triggers, you stop being reactive and start being intentional. You stop letting every comment, opinion, or situation dictate your peace. The world will always test you. People will provoke you. Circumstances will challenge your patience. That's life. But every time you react without thinking, you hand your power away. You let someone else decide how you feel and how you respond. Think about that. How many times have you wasted hours, even days, replaying a situation in your head that didn't deserve a minute of your energy? That's emotional debt. You're spending time and peace on something that doesn't give you anything back. The moment you learn to pause before reacting, you begin to take your power back. Because the pause is where wisdom lives. Emotional control doesn't mean you suppress your feelings or pretend they don't exist. It means you acknowledge them, but you don't let them drive the car. You can feel anger without acting on it, feel sadness without drowning in it, and feel fear without running from it. Emotions are signals. They're not commands. They tell you what's happening inside you, but you get to choose what happens next. That's what strength looks like. Anyone can explode. Anyone can overreact. But it takes real courage and maturity to remain steady when everything around you feels unstable. When you master your emotional triggers, you stop living in reaction mode and start living with purpose. You stop being pulled by what happens around you and start responding from who you are within. That's when your communication improves, your relationships strengthen, and your confidence grows. You begin to understand that silence is often more powerful than shouting, that walking away isn't weakness, it's self-respect. You realize that protecting your peace is more important than proving your point. Emotional maturity doesn't make you cold, it makes you clear. It gives you the strength to stand firm without needing validation. By 2026, make it your goal to be unshakable, not emotionless, but composed, not detached, but deliberate. Every time you choose calm over chaos, you're training your mind to stay in control. Every time you respond with clarity instead of anger, you're building emotional muscle. Over time, that becomes your default setting. People will notice. They'll try to trigger you and fail. They'll wonder how you stay so centered in a world that thrives on reaction. That's when you'll know you've mastered the quiet power that changes everything. The ability to rule yourself before you try to rule anything else. Your energy is your most valuable form of currency. Every time you wake up, you start your day with a limited amount of it, and where you spend it decides the quality of your life. Yet most people give it away carelessly. They say yes to everything and everyone, stretching themselves thin, trying to please, trying to prove, trying to keep up. But the truth is, not every opportunity deserves your attention, and not every person deserves your time. Every yes you give has a cost. Sometimes that cost is your peace, sometimes it's your focus, sometimes it's your joy. And the people who truly grow, who truly evolve, are the ones who learn to protect their energy as fiercely as they protect their money. You wouldn't hand your bank card to a stranger, would you? Yet you hand your energy to people who drain you without even thinking. You entertain conversations that go nowhere, arguments that change nothing, and obligations that leave you empty. You give time to people who take and never return, to tasks that don't serve your future, to worries that never actually happen. That's how you go broke, not financially, but mentally and emotionally. The secret to peace is learning to spend your energy with the same precision you spend your money. Invest it in what grows you. Save it from what drains you. Spend it where it matters. Guarding your energy isn't selfish, it's necessary. Because when you protect your focus, you protect your purpose. You can't pour into your goals, your relationships, or your growth if you're constantly running on empty. You can't be present, creative, or powerful when you're exhausted from saying yes to everything. People will call you cold, distant, or detached when you start setting boundaries. But boundaries aren't walls, they're gates. They let the right things in and keep the wrong things out. Learning to say no is one of the most freeing skills you'll ever develop. Every time you say no to what doesn't align, you say yes to what does. Start paying attention to what drains you and what fuels you. Notice the patterns, the conversations that leave you irritated, the environments that make you anxious, the people who always need something but never give. Those are energy leaks. Fix them. Replace them with people and places that restore your strength. Spend more time in silence, in nature, in moments that refill your mind instead of emptying it. Protecting your energy means being selective, not closed off. It means choosing peace over noise, depth over drama, purpose over popularity. By 2026, aim to live like someone whose energy is priceless, because it is. Don't waste it trying to prove your worth to those who can't see it. Don't spend it on distractions disguised as opportunities. Protect your focus like your future depends on it, because it does. The more you guard your energy, the more powerful your presence becomes. People will start to notice that your calm can't be shaken, your spirit can't be drained, and your time can't be bought. That's when you know you've mastered something rare. The art of being fully in control of your energy and unshakably at peace with yourself. Fear is the most persuasive liar you'll ever meet. It whispers to you softly, convincing you to stay safe, to wait for the right time, to avoid taking the risk. It tells you that comfort equals security, when in reality, comfort is the slowest kind of death. Every time you give in to fear, a part of you shrinks. Your confidence, your curiosity, your potential. But every time you face it, even just a little, something inside you expands. You become stronger, braver, more capable. Growth doesn't come from feeling ready. It comes from stepping forward while your legs are shaking. That's why facing one fear a month can completely change your life. Because courage isn't built in a single leap. It's built in steady steps toward what scares you. Most people wait to feel fearless before taking action, but that's not how it works. You don't remove fear by waiting. You remove it by moving. Fear loses its power when you walk toward it. The more you face it, the smaller it gets. It's like lifting weights. The more resistance you face, the stronger you become. Start with something small. Speak up in that meeting. Ask the question you've been afraid to ask. Start the project you keep postponing. Each act of courage is a message to your mind that you are capable of more than you thought. You start proving to yourself that fear doesn't control you. You control it. Facing one fear a month isn't about recklessness. It's about intention. It's about identifying the things that hold you back and confronting them one by one. Some fears are external: fear of rejection, failure, or criticism. Others are internal: fear of not being enough, fear of change, fear of losing control. Whatever they are, name them, because once you name your fear, you weaken it. Fear thrives in the dark, but when you bring it into the light, it starts to fade. Write them down, pick one, and make a plan to challenge it this month. When you do, you'll realize that fear is rarely about danger. It's about discomfort. And discomfort is where your evolution happens. The most confident people you admire aren't fearless. They've just built a different relationship with fear. They've learned to use it as fuel, not a barrier. They understand that fear means they're stretching, growing, moving towards something meaningful. Every new level of life will demand a new level of you, and fear is the gatekeeper. You can't avoid it, but you can walk through it. And each time you do, you gain a new kind of power, the kind that can't be taught, only earned through experience. By 2026, imagine what would happen if you faced 12 fears, one each month. 12 moments where you said, "I'm doing it anyway." 12 times you pushed through the discomfort instead of retreating. That version of you would be unstoppable. You wouldn't just feel braver, you'd be braver. Because confidence isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to keep moving through it. The next time you feel afraid, don't stop. Take a breath, take a step, and remember, fear is not a wall. It's a doorway. And on the other side of that doorway is the version of you you've been waiting to become. Every word you speak is a declaration of who you are and who you intend to become. Yet most people live their lives in language full of excuses. I can't. I'll try. Someday. Maybe. Those words sound harmless, even polite, but they are chains disguised as comfort. They hold you back without you even noticing it. Excuse language keeps you small. It tells the world, and more importantly yourself, that you aren't capable, that your goals are optional, that your potential is negotiable. The moment you recognize the power of your words, you start to understand that change begins in speech. What you say isn't just sound, it's action waiting to happen. Saying, "I'll try," is one of the most dangerous phrases in existence. It implies half-hearted effort, hesitation, and a lack of commitment. Trying is a placeholder, a way to avoid failure without truly committing to success. If you want results, you don't try. You do. You replace uncertainty with certainty. You move from maybe to I will. I will show up. I will take the step. I will finish the work. I will face the challenge. Those 4 words are simple, but they carry power. They force your mind to align with your intention. They close the gap between thought and action, between vision and reality. Excuse language also robs you of ownership. When you say, "I can't," you hand your power over to circumstances, people, or timing. You make the world the authority over your life instead of taking it yourself. Life will always have obstacles. People will disappoint you. Situations will test you. But every time you replace "I can't" with "I will," you reclaim control. You acknowledge that yes, challenges exist, but they do not define you. You define your choices, your responses, and your trajectory. Ownership is the first step toward transformation. Language shapes identity. The way you speak to yourself becomes the way you show up in the world. If you constantly say, "I'll do it someday," your mind begins to believe that someday is too far away, too uncertain, too easy to delay. If you say, "I will," your mind starts building pathways to action. If you say, "I am capable," your confidence strengthens every time you repeat it. You are programming yourself with every sentence. Speak with precision, and you create momentum. Speak with hesitation, and you create hesitation. Your words are not just words. They are your habits, your standards, and ultimately, your results. By 2026, imagine the version of yourself who has eliminated excuse language completely. Someone who says, I will, instead of I'll try, I can, instead of I can't, and I am, instead of maybe someday. That version of you doesn't negotiate with life. That version shows up consistently, acts decisively, and refuses to be paralyzed by doubt. Excuses disappear and action becomes automatic. The words you choose today are laying the foundation for the person you will be tomorrow. Stop speaking limitation. Start speaking commitment, because by choosing your words carefully, you choose your destiny. Success is not built in sprints. The world glorifies overnight transformations, viral moments, and sudden breakthroughs. But the truth is, those are rare exceptions, not the rule. Most lasting success is a marathon, not a sprint. It's the quiet, steady accumulation of effort over time, the repetition of small choices, the refusal to quit even when progress feels invisible. People who play the long game understand that intensity is temporary, but consistency compounds. They don't chase the quick win. They chase the sustainable path, the one that will carry them forward for years, not just days. Walking the long game means embracing patience in a world that celebrates urgency. It means doing the work day after day, not because it's exciting, but because it matters. It means showing up even when nobody notices, even when results are slow, even when doubt creeps in. Consistency doesn't make headlines, but it makes history. Every small action, a phone call, a habit, a disciplined routine, stacks on top of the last until one day you look back and realize you've climbed a mountain without anyone noticing the steps you took. That's the power of playing the long game. The long game also teaches you to measure progress differently. Most people quit because they expect dramatic results immediately. They compare themselves to others and feel behind, or they look for external validation and find none. But those who play the long game focus on their process, not the applause. They measure success by effort, by resilience, by the integrity of their actions. Every day they move forward, they build momentum, and momentum is what carries you through the inevitable setbacks, failures, and distractions that life throws your way.